Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Jagdish Kaur, Assistant Professor in PG Department of Physics, DAV College, Amritsar. Today I will discuss about the nanomaterials. Nanomaterials are the materials with at least one dimension in the range of 100 nanometers or even less. And 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. And nanotechnology is the branch of science and engineering that involves the manipulation of matter on a near atomic scale to produce new materials having size of few nanometers. Now, if I compare the size, I can see that size of DNA is approximately 10 nanometer, which is 10,000 times smaller than the diameter of human hair. It means that nanomaterials or nanoparticles, these are not new, they are present inside us. Now, there are basically two types of nanomaterials. One is the naturally occurring nanomaterials and one is the man made. Humans have long been exposed to naturally occurring nanoparticles, which results from the volcanic ash, ocean spray, fine sand and dust, biological matters, for example, viruses, and man made nanomaterials are synthesized in the labs and they are categorized based on the material used. For example, carbon based materials, metal based materials, dendrimers that are the branch structures, composites that are made up of two or more than two constituent materials. Now, when bulk material come in the nanometer region, their properties change significantly, and this change is due to appearance of certain effects with decrease in size, and these effects are quantum confinement, quantization of energy, random molecular motion, and increased surface to volume ratio. In bulk material, these effects are not present, but when the size decreases, these effects appear. Now I will discuss each effect. First effect is the quantum confinement. Quantum confinement effect is observed when the diameter of the material is of the same order as the wavelength of electron wave function. When this condition is fulfilled, that is, these two become equal or of the same order, then electrons and holes are being squeezed into a dimension which is known as the Bohr radius. Now, this quantum confinement exists in three different flavors. One is a two dimension, one dimension, and the zero dimension. In two dimension confinement, particle is confined only along one dimension. For example, in quantum wells or we can say thin films. In thin films, confinement is along only the one dimension. And in one dimension confinement, particle is confined along two dimensions like nanowires. And in zero dimension confinement, all the three dimensions are in the nanometer range. Or we can say confinement is along all the three dimensions. For example, quantum dots and the nanoparticles. Next effect is the quantization of energy. When the dimension of the material is large, when the dimension is more than the nanometer range, then particle behave as free particle and the band gap appears to be continuous. But when the particle size decreases, as we can see, when the particle size decreases, the continuous band change into the discrete band. That is, as the particle size decreases to nanometer range, band gap changes from continuous to the discrete, and there is increase in the band gap. This increase in band gap when size decreases, resulting in the blue shift. For example, in this we can see that Band gap depend on the size. As the size decreases from red to blue, there is discreteness increases and the band gap increases. Just like particle in a box problem, whose expression for energy is like this. En is n square pi square h cut square or 2 ml square. Energy varies inversely with the size of the box. In the same manner, as the size decreases, energy increases. They are inversely to each other. Next effect is the random molecular motion. This is the another phenomena occurring in nanomaterials and absent in bulk material. When the particles are in micrometer region, that is that it is a heavy particle as compared to the nanometer size, and we know that heavy particles move at slower rate. Now when the particles are in micrometer region, the random molecular motion is very small as compared to the size of the particles, and it is not important how the particle moves. But when in nano region the particle moves, the motion is on the same scale as the size of particle and thus has an important influence on how they move. Their motion cannot be ignored. And this motion ensures the nanoparticles colliding with each other all the time and result in the formation of the agglomeration of the nanoparticles. Next effect is the aspect ratio or increased surface to volume ratio. This gives the ratio of surface area to volume. Now, when a bulk material is divided into an ensemble of individual particles, for example, this is a bulk material. If I divide it into two halves, its volume will remain same, but the surface area is enhanced. Its surface, these two surfaces, this one and its a lower one, these two surfaces will appear, and that means volume is the same but the surface area increases. Now if I further decrease its size, then the new surface area will appear. Now as we keep on decreasing the size of the particle, surface area will increases more. This effect is very important in discussing the catalytic properties of the nanomaterials. Now, classification. Classification of nanomaterials can be done on the base of dimensionality. In zero dimension nanomaterials, zero dimension means all the three dimensions are confined in nanometer range. If I side by show this picture, then I can see that this is the bulk material. If I bulk material, it means, and there is no confinement. Confinement means one dimension should be in the nanometer range. We can see that in this, neither of these three dimension is in the nanometer region. No confinement. This is known as a bulk material or three dimension material. Now, if one dimension come in the nanometer region, then this is known as the two dimension materials. If two dimensions come in the nanometer region, this is known as a one dimension material. If all the three dimensions, its remaining dimension, also come in the nanometer region, then this is known as the zero dimension material. And as we increasing the confinement, its band gap from continuous changes to the discrete, as we have discussed in the confinement. Therefore, confinement classification is based on the confinement. Zero dimension, one dimension, two dimension, and three dimension are the bulk materials. There is no confinement. Next is a synthesis approach. There are several methods to produce nanomaterials, and all these methods are categorized into the two approaches. One is the top-down approach, other one is the bottom-up approach. Top-down, as the name suggest, top-down approach refer to the slicing or successive cutting of a bulk material to get the desired material. And in bottom-up approach, refer to buildup of a material from the bottom. That is, from bottom is the atom. That is, atoms will combine together to form molecules, and molecules will combine together to form clusters, and these clusters will come together to form a self-assembled monolayers of the nanoparticles. This is the, we can see that in top down, this is bulk material, and from bulk we go to the desired size of nanoparticles, and in bottom up we come from bottom to the desired size of particles. Next is the properties. There are many properties of nanomaterials that differ from the bulk counterparts due to appearance of certain effects that we have discussed in the last slides. As those effects were not present in bulk, therefore the properties of bulk and nano will be different from each other. Now, for example, optical properties of in the nanomaterials, there is a strong extinction band in the UV visible spectra, which is not present in the corresponding bulk material. And if I talk about the mechanical properties have certain nanomaterials exhibits different mechanical parameters such as elastic modulus, hardness, stress, strain, strength. These all parameters come in the mechanical properties. And if I compare the tensile strength of carbon nanotubes, it is 100 times greater than that of the steel of same diameter. We can see that mechanical properties greatly enhanced for the nanomaterials. This is nanotube is the shape of certain material. Thermal properties, nanomaterials have thermal conductivities higher than those of fluids in the solid form or in the bulk form. For example, thermal conductivity for copper in nanoform at room temperature is about 700 times greater than that of the water. And magnetic properties also differ. Nanoparticles of magnetic materials, for example, iron, nickel, cobalt, chromium, etc., are super paramagnetic, which in bulk these are not super paramagnetic. And now, due to the novel properties of materials, they find many application in different fields. For example, in electronic devices, in medical science, in agriculture and food, in cosmetics, in textile industry, in defense and security, in energy storage devices. In all these, in all these categories, nanomaterials find many applications due to the novel properties. Now, first is the medical nanotechnology. Nanomaterial in medical science involves nanoparticles to deliver drugs, heat, light, and other desired substances to specific type of cells, such as cancer cell. This reduces the damage to healthy cells in the body and allows for earlier detection of the disease. With the help of nanomaterial, there is a reduction to damage to healthy cells in the body. For example, with the help of nanomedicine, there is early detection and prevention and improved diagnosis, proper treatment, and follow up of diseases possible. Gold nanoparticles, when tagged with short segments of DNA, are used for detection of genetic sequence in a sample. Damaged tissue can be reproduced or repaired with the use of these materials. Advanced biosensors with novel features can be developed with the help of carbon nanotubes, and they are used for the development of cancer diagnostic sensors. Magnetic nanoparticles have been successfully used to isolate and group stem cells. Quantum dots are also being used for the molecular imaging and tracing of the stem cells. Nanomaterials also find many applications in the textile industries. They are used to improve the properties of the textile. For example, dust and water repellence, UV protection, antibacterial properties, wear and wrinkle resistance, resistance to stain, bacteria, or fungi. There are certain nanomaterials types and their function properties. For example, if I say about the silver nanomaterial are used for the antimicrobial properties. Zinc oxide is also used for this, and titanium dioxide. These are the few nanomaterials and their respective properties. Nanomaterials also find applications in the cosmetic industry. Uh, Sunscreen. We all use the sunscreen. It uses zinc oxide nanoparticles because zinc oxide has the property to block the UV rays. Therefore, sunscreen use the zinc oxide as well as the titanium dioxide nanoparticles to block UV rays. Skin creams use proteins derived from stem cell to prevent aging of the skin. Skin creams containing proteins enclosed in liposome nanoparticle are used for the anti-aging properties. Proteins are encapsulated in liposome nanoparticle which merge with the membranes of skin cells to allow delivery of the proteins. Skincare creams deliver nutrients to deeper layer of the skin by using the nanoemulsions. Semiconductor nanomaterials are widely used in optoelectronic devices due to the improved electrical properties of the semiconductors. With the help of these materials, there is increase in the density of memory chips, decrease in the weight and thickness of the screen, decrease the size of transistor in integrated circuits, and improve quality of display screen and also reduce the power consumption. These are the few devices, optoelectronic devices, and the nanomaterials used for the better functioning of these devices. These are the few optoelectronic devices in which nanomaterials are used. Food nanotechnology describes as the use of the nanomaterials in food packets or food in industry. For example, polymer composites incorporating clay nanoparticles are among the first nanocomposites to emerge as improved materials for food packaging. Nanobiosensor understands of taste receptors and flavor perception is leading to the development of an electronic tongue for describing the taste attributes of the food. But there is a risk of consumer exposure to nanoparticles from food packaging. That is through the potential migration of nanoparticles into food and drinks. Therefore, although there are many applications of nanomaterials in different fields, there are certain risk factors of the nanomaterials. For example, nanomaterials from electronics reach the environment when they are disposed of, recycled by other methods. Therefore, they are harmful to us. During manufacturing process, they are being exposed, they are contaminate our environment. Due to their small size, they can get into the body through the skin, lungs, and digestive system. They can easily pass through the biological membranes. Silver based compounds that are used in the preservatives to treat burns, infections. Recent application of nanosilver include the antibacterial coating in some electronic goods. Samsung silver wash technology. There are toxic effects of nanosilver to the environment and to the human health. Nanosilver does not discriminate between different strains of bacteria and is likely to kill bacteria which are beneficial to other organisms and or ecological process. Therefore, although there are many applications of nanomaterials in different fields, but there are certain risk factors that cannot be ignored. These are the few references. Thank you.